you're second. Good morning. Good morning. I love how you all come in and kind of get settled. Welcome to the River Road Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Reverend Connie Simon, and I am your interim minister for this year, and today your worship associate too. If this is your first time here in person, we welcome you. We hope you'll stop by the welcome table so we can get to know you and get connected. For those watching live on YouTube, hey, please feel free to join in the chat with our online host. If you're watching this at a later date and have questions, please visit our website to learn how to connect with us. There are always things going on here at River Road, and you can learn about them on our website at rruuc.org. But I want to point out that this Friday from 6 to 9 is our game night and potluck. And this time there will be a pumpkin carving part of it. Ooh, bring your own pumpkin. Okay? All right. And now I'd like to welcome Ann Bradley with a search team announcement.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to remind you all that today, after the service in here, the search committee is going to be holding some open listening sessions. So we invite you to grab a cup of coffee, come back in here, join us. We hope to get started about 11:15. We don't want to waste too much of this beautiful day in here. If you can't stay, we're doing open sessions on Zoom next week, Wednesday and Thursday night, October 29th and 30th at 7:30 for those. We'd ask you to register, find our website or in the e-weekly so we can send you a Zoom link. And just FYI, these sessions are in addition to anything else you may have been doing that we've reached out to you, and you're welcome to do as many as you like. So don't worry about overlap. So thanks so much, and I hope to see you shortly here.
Choirs first.
Hello. We begin our time together by lighting our chalice, the chosen symbol of our faith, with these words by Erica Hewitt.
To be a Unitarian Universalist means we'll never be done with the work of telling the truth about oppression, the work of resisting any laws, policies, or practices that deny anyone their humanity, the work of stubbornly seeking out the spark of the divine each other, no matter what, the work of creating a heaven on earth.
To be a Unitarian Universalist also means we're not alone in the work. We are not alone because of our promises to love one another. We are not alone because we are companions on the journey we grow ourselves into allies, helping one another get free, because none of us is truly free until we are all free.
Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able, and let's sing hymn number 116, I'm on my way. Can you do it 2 songs in a row? Same time, isn't it?
Good morning. I'm Laura Piervincenzi, Associate Director of Religious Education. Today, for Prophetic Voices, we are showing an animated version of the picture book, The Day You Begin, by Jacqueline Woodson. Woodson is a Black woman who has written dozens of books for children and adults. One of her most well-known titles is Brown Girl Dreaming, a memoir in verse about growing up in the 1960s and 70s. Both Brown Girl Dreaming and The Day You Begin have shown up on banned book lists in at least 2 states. For no other reason than they lift up people of color and people who hold identities other than white and Christian. Banning these books, and so many others, suppresses what is so vital about them: representation. Picture books that tell affirming stories about people of many different identities reach children who might feel other and let them know that they are not alone. And equally important, they reach children who might not feel othered and help them understand that every person, regardless of any identity that they hold, is worthy of respect. Representation matters. It makes a difference. The Day You Begin is an especially good example of this. Not only does it show children of all different identities, it shows that sharing our unique identities lead to connection and friendship.
The Day You Begin, written by Jacqueline Woodson, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto, from Venezuela, your teacher says so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller when the teacher asks, "What did you do last summer? Tell the class your story." "We went to France," Chayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine." A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells so fragile they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. "My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina." Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she'd fallen to sleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadja will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high. The run is too fast and far. The game isn't one you can ever really play. "I don't want him on our team." You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister. You tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. "Your name is like my sister's," Rigoberto says. "Her name is Angelina too." And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside, your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else, so fabulously not quite like you at all. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And now invite teachers and children to go to their classrooms. Thank you.
Every time I read that book or hear that story, it makes me cry. Because it's so true. It exposes that one last part of Unitarian Universalism that we often struggle with, classism. Opens it up for all the world to see. So, we've had quite a week since last we were together, haven't we? I think some of you were doing something yesterday. How many of you, by show of hands? Okay. It's a good number. I was doing something yesterday, too. I spent the day shoe shopping. And I came out with a size 12 wide men's shoe that accommodates this. So we were all doing some work yesterday, I think. And we were dealing with all the other things in life, right? Feeling the gratitude after days of frustration of there's no shoe this thing's gonna fit in. Feeling the power of doing something for justice. Feeling the joy, perhaps, of being with family. Feeling the nerves and the fear and the grieving that comes sometimes with illness and wondering what the next step is going to be. I invite you now to speak aloud the things that have been on your heart since last we were together. Please join me now in a moment of silent meditation, reflection, or prayer, after which I'm going to lead you in a version of a familiar song. Can I have a note, Cliff? Okay. You all know this song, and you sing it most of the time the way it's written in the hymnal. But I'm going to invite you to sing it the way my family and generations of enslaved people used to sing it. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? Can you sing it like that? You ready? Hush, hush. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? It sounds like freedom. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? Last time, hush. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh my Lord, what shall I do? That felt good to me. In support of our congregation and the community beyond, the morning offering will be gratefully received. We do so mindful of the fact that we draw water from wells we did not dig, and we pick fruit from trees we did not plant. This is as it should be, so long as we dig and plant for those who come after. If this is your first time visiting, please feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is your gift to us. To learn more about why we give of our financial treasure, please visit our website. There you can find information on our programming and give. You can also text to give. The text to give number is 73256. So text RRUUC and the amount you want to give to the number 73256. you'll receive a link to complete your donation. Thank you for sharing your time, your talent, and your treasures. Usually at this time of the service, we have a reading, something that is particularly connected to the service as a whole, some message, something that we want to get across. This week I couldn't decide on just one, so I did a mashup of three. You're going to hear something that I put together that is adapted from the writings of Robin DiAngelo, Bell Hooks, and James Baldwin. There is a particular danger that faces progressive communities, and it is this: the belief that we are the good ones, the enlightened ones, the ones who already understand. Many of us here today have marched, rallied, donated, organized, and spoken out against injustice. We've stood up for racial justice, LGBTQ+ rights, disability inclusion, immigrant rights, and so many other causes. This work matters. It is necessary. It makes a real difference in the world. We should be proud of showing up when it counts. And yet, there is a particular trap that awaits well-meaning progressive communities, believing that our activism exempts us from deeper examination. Audre Lorde, poet and civil rights activist, reminds us there is an important difference between openness and naivete. Not everyone has good intentions, nor means me well. I remind myself I do not need to change these people only recognize who they are. But we must always also apply this wisdom inward. We must recognize that good intentions, even our own, are not enough. This same pattern shows up across all forms of oppression. We set the bar impossibly low. Only the most extreme bigots, only the most explicit harm, only the most intentional cruelty, like what we're seeing coming out of Pennsylvania Avenue right now. But we exempt ourselves from everything else and from what we do. We point to our good deeds, our protests, our progressive values as proof that we don't need to look deeper. We assume that because we support transgender rights, we can't be transphobic. Because we marched for Black lives, we can't harbor racial bias. Because we welcome people with disabilities, we can't be ableist. Got to tell you, impact matters more than intention. And even as we fight injustice in the streets, we may inadvertently protect harmful patterns in our daily lives, in our congregation, and in our own hearts. James Baldwin, decades ago, warned us, "If I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you don't see." Let me say that again, because that's my ministry. If I love you, I have to make you conscious of the things you don't see. And you know I love you. But we cannot become conscious of what we refuse to examine. We cannot learn what we believe we already know. Bell Hooks reminds us that real solidarity doesn't need to be rooted in shared experience. It can be based on one's political and ethical understanding of racism and one's rejection of domination. In other words, we don't need to have experienced oppression to work against it. But we do need to stop centering ourselves in the story. We need to recognize that our good intentions do not automatically translate into good impact. The question before us today is not whether we are good people, because you are. We are good people. The question is whether we're willing to do the ongoing, uncomfortable work of examining our complicity in systems of harm, even when, especially when, we think we've already done enough. Because the moment we decide we are finished learning is the moment we become obstacles to justice rather than partners in it. There's always more to learn, always. And our willingness to admit this, to approach anti-oppression work with humility rather than certainty, is not a weakness. It's the very foundation upon which real change is built. So let us approach this service and what I'm about to say in a few minutes with open hearts and minds, ready to be uncomfortable, ready to be challenged, and ready to admit we all have so much to learn. My hope is that we all choose love. Always. It's not difficult to choose love. So why am I talking about this morning? Originally, on our calendar, we were going to do some training for search. And for a whole lot of reasons, that training is now going to happen in March, after you already know who your candidate is. And the purpose of this training is to open up a conversation about how you feel as a congregation about anti-oppression work. And I understand why it needed to be moved. And I understand that there were folks among you, when you completed the survey, who thought that you knew this stuff and that it would be okay to postpone the training. And that's okay. At the time, I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. March, whatever. Cliff, Beth, Laura, and I, we said, okay, now we got to fill a Sunday that we didn't think we were going to have to fill. Let's do a service. And here we are. And I thought, what do I want to do with this service? Coming the day after No King's Day. And I chose love. I chose this message today. And I also felt that in a way I needed to address that sentiment of, we already know this, because I do see it in many UU congregations where I speak. I visit a lot of UU congregations, and I see it. And I felt like I needed to raise it, because it's something that's been coming up not just this year, but for years and years and years in Unitarian Universalism. It started with the people who said, I marched in Selma with King. And it's been happening year after year after year. And there's a part of me that thinks, well, if we were really that good, and if we really, really knew it all, why do we still have to have these conversations? So I thought it's time for this message. And this may be one of those days where you send me emails afterward and say, I didn't like that service. Or you come up to me and say, you're accusing us or shaming us. No. I'm sharing a message with you from my heart. And my hope is that you can open your hearts and hear it. Take it in. Examine it. See what resonates. So we already talked about this progressive myth, right? That we think we're the good ones. The other piece that I hear beyond the I voted the right way, of course I'm a Democrat, is I read all the books. I'm like, okay, yeah, you read the books. I have friends who are black, brown, trans, whatever, fill in the blank. My daughter married someone who is fill in the blank. I'm done, I'm good. That's not enough. Scholar and civil rights activist Ibram X. Kendi teaches us the only way to undo racism is to consistently identify and describe it, and then dismantle it. He goes on to say there's no neutrality in the racism struggle. The opposite of racist isn't not racist, it's anti-racist. So being anti-racist, anti-transphobic, anti-oppression, these aren't destinations where we arrive and plant our flag. They're practices, daily practices, lifelong practices. And the moment we think we've mastered them is precisely the moment we stop paying attention. We live in a moment right now where our nation's highest office is occupied by someone who has used I cannot talk today, authoritarian rhetoric, promoted discriminatory policies, and normalized hate-filled speech. That's the world we live in right now, right? And I'm not being partisan. This is not a Democrat-Republican thing. This is observable reality. Authoritarian rhetoric, discriminatory policies, and hate-filled speech. When a president of the United States of America mocks disabled reporters, sends the military to our cities, calls countries predominantly inhabited by people of color shithole countries, randomly grabs folks off the street because they look a certain way, cages children, refers to immigrants as animals and criminals, and when the person who is holding the role of President of the United States emboldens white supremacists, we're not living in ordinary times. When we see that happening, we have to know something's not right here. So the question for people of faith is not whether we notice. The question is what we do about it. Now, our faith is grounded in love, centered in love, and many adopt and still value our 7th and 8th principles. And every single one of those principles is tested by the oppression that we're experiencing in the world right now. The inherent worth and dignity of every person, tested when we allow transphobic rhetoric to go unchallenged. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, tested when we think anti-racism work is optional. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, impossible when we tolerate systems that dehumanize and marginalize. We're not living our principles. I'm going to share something personal with you. I'm your minister, and you may not have noticed this, but I'm black. I'm up here before you every Sunday, and most Sundays I am the only one or one of 2 or 3 or 4 people of color in this room. This is my reality, not just here, but in a lot of UU spaces, and this is your reality as a congregation. So when someone says, we don't need anti-oppression training, what I hear, whether they intended it or not, is, I don't need to learn more about your experience. I don't need to examine how I might be complicit in systems that harm you. I've learned enough. But here's what poet and activist Audre Lorde knew. It's not our differences that divide us. It's our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. So I'm not sharing this to make you feel guilty. Guilt is useless. I share this because our theology demands that we see each other fully, that we recognize how power and privilege shape every interaction, every assumption, every time we say, I already know that. Because the work is never done. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. People of goodwill. That's us, right? We're the progressive congregation. We hung the Black Lives Matter banner. We put pronouns in our email signatures. We're trying. And those things are true, and yay you. And trying without learning is just performance. And performance without transformation changes nothing. So when we say, I already know, we're claiming mastery over someone else's lived experience. We're saying that our understanding is complete, our learning is finished, our growth is done. But as transgender activist and author Janet Mock reminds us, I believe that telling our stories, first to ourselves and then to one another and the world, is a revolutionary act. If we stop listening to those stories, if we decide we've heard enough, we stop the revolution. We stop growing. We stop being worthy of the trust that marginalized people place in us when they share their truth. Now, I'll let you imagine for a second what the next sentence might be out of my mouth. And I debated as to whether I wanted to say it. And I think I have to say it. Let me repeat that last one. We stop being worthy of the trust that marginalized people place in us when they share their truth. And I wonder, as a Black minister in Unitarian Universalism, if I truly reach anybody in the congregations I serve. That is hard to say out loud. And I say it because I love you. I love you all enough to share that vulnerability with you. So let's return to our principles for a minute. Let's go back to that fourth principle, my favorite. This really is my favorite of the principles. Our fourth principle calls us to a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Not a completed search, not a finished search, a search. Present tense, ongoing. The earliest Unitarians said revelation is not sealed. If you learned anything from Channing and Emerson and Thoreau and the Transcendentalists, it's that revelation is not sealed. Our search is ongoing. Activist Mariama Kaba says, hope is a discipline, not a feeling, not a sentiment, a discipline. Something we practice even when, especially when, it's hard. Anti-oppression work is also a discipline. It requires of you 4 things. And I hope you remember these 4 things. 1, humility. It requires that you admit what you don't know. Humility. Courage. Courage to face our complicity in the systems that exist in this country today. Commitment. Commitment to keep showing up, to keep being in the conversation, to keep trying to understand, to keep asking, what shall I do? To keep asking, how can I learn? Even when it's uncomfortable. And the 4th thing it requires is accountability. Accountability to the other people in this congregation, to the people in this city, to the people in this faith, to the people in this nation, to all living creatures. Because remember, we say we're a part of a big, giant, interconnected web, right? So we are accountable to every other part of that web. To those who have power and to those who don't. To the oldest among us, to the youngest among us. To the animals. To all the creatures. To the earth. We are accountable. Because we are interconnected, what happens to one happens to all of us. So think about legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw, who coined the term intersectionality. She helps us understand that oppressions are not separate silos. They interact. They compound and they reinforce each other. Racism, sexism, transphobia, ableism, classism, they work together to maintain systems of power, to maintain the status quo, to keep things from changing, because we're comfortable when it doesn't change. When we refuse to engage in this training, or when we shy away from it, when we say, I don't need that. When we say, you're wrong, I'm good, I don't need it, right? When we react in that manner, we're not just refusing information, we're refusing relationship. We're missing out. We're missing out on what could be love-filled, wonderful conversations and learning opportunities. we're missing out on the opportunity to see how our liberation is all bound up together. None of us is free until all of us are free. So what does it mean to really embrace that there's still so much to learn? It means approaching every conversation about race, gender, sexuality, ability, and class with curiosity rather than defensiveness. It means understanding that impact matters more than intention. You can have good intentions and still be harmful. It means recognizing that discomfort isn't the same as shame. White people feeling uncomfortable talking about race is not the same as people of color experiencing racism. Cisgender people feeling awkward about pronouns is not the same as trans people being denied health care, housing, or safety. It means accepting that the people most impacted by oppression are the experts on that oppression. Their lived experience is not up for debate. It means doing the reading, attending the training, having the hard conversations, not because someone is forcing you, but because our faith demands it of us. So I want to close with an invitation rather than an indictment. I always watch you all, and I judge or try to observe what you're feeling by the looks on your faces. How many angry faces do I see? How many understanding faces do I see? How many light bulbs do I see going off? And for that reason, I give you this invitation. And I tell you there is so much still to learn for all of us. For all of us, not because we're failures, but because the work of justice is infinite and beautiful and endlessly unfolding. Every time we think we've arrived, there's another horizon. Every time we think we understand, there's another story that deepens and complicates and enriches our knowing. This is good news. It means that we get to keep growing. We get to keep becoming more fully human, more fully alive to each other's humanity. Maya Angelou says, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." Right? When you know better, do better. The training that you will experience here in this congregation, in the world, wherever you choose to take it, and the congregation, the information that you will learn when you do the before training in March, is one of those opportunities to know better so you can do better. It's not a punishment. It's not an accusation. That's not what I'm doing this morning. I'm giving you what I hope you see as a gift, a chance to practice the values we claim, to live into the world that we say we want to build. And here's the truth. In a time when our president uses his platform to spread hate, when trans children are denied health care, when black people are still fighting for the right to breathe freely, when immigrants are dehumanized and demonized, in these times, staying comfortable is complicity. Our faith calls us to something more, something braver, something that costs us something. There is still so much to learn. Thank the universe for that. Thank the force of love that keeps calling us forward. Thank the ancestors and the activists and the ordinary people doing extraordinary work who teach us that transformation is always possible. But only if we're willing to admit we don't have all the answers. Only if we're willing to say, I still have so much to learn. Let's learn it together. May it be so. Amen. Amen. Let's sing that into being. Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing hymn 1017, Building a New Way. Sing some of you clap. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new Sing it like you mean it. We can meet our every need. We can meet our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can meet our every need. Peace and freedom is our pride. Peace and freedom is our pride. Peace and freedom is our pride. Without peace, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our pride. Woo! Our values and principles call us to live our values aloud, not alone, and encourage us to be open-minded, open-hearted, spiritual communities helping people lead lives of justice, love, learning, and hope. Here are some things you can do to live your values in the coming weeks. Number one, take some quiet time, search your mind, search your heart. What is it that you still have to learn? What are your rough edges? Write them down. Talk about it with someone. Call a friend. Call me. But think about it. Second thing you can do, this Tuesday, October 21st, you can come right here to this space for the DMV area premiere of the film Loving Karma. The doors will open with live music at 6, and the film starts at 7. There will be a brief guided meditation with Insight meditation leader Ofusu to kick off the evening. The film screening will be followed by discussion with the directors and light refreshments with snacks. Come and have your soul be fed. And now we bring our time of worship to a close by extinguishing our chalice, by reciting together these words by Elizabeth Sell Jones. Together we say, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the power of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please enjoy the postlude, after which I'll share the benediction. Please reach out to the person next to you. Connect with someone physically with their permission, of course. Hold a hand, touch a shoulder, elbow to elbow. Don't talk to them, you guys. Just touch them. Feel the buzz of humanity. Settle down. Settle down. Feel the buzz of humanity in this room. As we leave this place, may we be open to all the experiences that are here. May we be open to all the experiences and all the stories of all the people in the world. May we not be so sure of ourselves, but instead wonder, what more is there that I can learn? How can I be better? How can I do better? And know that you're not alone in the work. Hopefully the person you are touching is in that work with you. So go lifted up, go renewed, go and learn in love. Amen. Yay.